things we need to do often before we can start our recovery journey is to learn to feel safe in our body, especially if we've experienced any trauma or long-term stress. And one of the ways we can do this is using an embodied processing technique called resourcing. Resourcing is allowing us to create a space or a feeling within ourselves that allows us to feel safe, it allows us to feel grounded, it allows us to feel at home. And when we have the ability to create that ourselves, it doesn't matter so much what craziness is going on around us. It means that we are always able to come back to that safe space. So ideally, what we'd like to do is be able to create a safe space within the body. And when we teach this technique in the clinic, we always start there. So we start with, can you find a place within your body that feels comfortable? Quite often people can't find that space within them, and so what we will then do is we'll work on perhaps a memory of a place that they've been, or a place that they love, or a feeling that they had on a trip, and see again whether they can resource and give themselves a feeling that feels safe from there. Again, sometimes people are unable to find that space, and so what we will then do is build a resource, build a space. So I myself, sometimes I'll resource into my body. I might be able to, even if I'm feeling very unsettled, I might be able to feel that my feet feel kind of safe and relaxed and connected. Or I have my favourite memory place is I have a tree house in the woods, and it's I just love being there, and it just gives me that sense of peace and calm. And that's a really good resource too. And if not, I also have a place that I've built in my head of a room that is very safe and has beautiful windows with arched tops that are soundproofed, and it's always sunny outside. And so I'm always able then to know I can go to that safe space, as I say, whatever seems to be triggering me on the outside. So sometimes it's difficult to use your resource, but the more you practice, the better it becomes and the easier it becomes to use it. So just for a moment, let's have a think about resourcing. Let's, explore this together. So just for a moment, maybe close your eyes, take a nice settling breath, get yourself into a comfortable position, somewhere you're not going to be interrupted. And just to start with, if it feels safe to do so, just scan through your body. Just sort of feel if there's a place within your body that feels safe, feels like home, feels cozy, gives you a sense of well-being, a sense of feeling grounded. There's never a right or a wrong answer with this. It's always just the answer that is at that time. And quite often when we start people's journeys of recovery, they cannot find a resource within their body. But just see today whether you might be able to find that. Sometimes it's easier to find that resource in a limb rather than in the centre of the body, depending on how agitated your nervous system might be feeling. But equally, don't worry if you can't. What I'll do now is I'll explain the other two ways of finding a resource. And then when we get to the end of that, we'll do a very short resourcing exercise together. So if you haven't been able to find a resource in your body, then try to, as I say, imagine a memory, perhaps somewhere you've been on holiday, I don't know, the top of a mountain, your favourite beach. And you can adapt it, or you can just be, if it was perfect, then just let it be and let it go, oh God, that made me feel so lovely. That made me feel really safe. I felt so at home there. I felt really grounded. I felt really calm. So just, again, have a think about whether there's a place or a memory that brings that feeling to you. Again, the answer might be no at this point, in which case we're going to build you a resource. So that resource may take a little time to build. You might want to change the decor, you might want to change the venue, but just start with thinking about where you would feel safe. That might be a very cozy little cabin. It might be your bedroom. It might be, again, somewhere outside in the woods, on the beach. It can be an imaginary beach. You can have a pina colada. There's a perfect breeze. You might be able to hear the wind in the trees. Or if you're indoors, you might be able to hear the crackle of the fire. I don't want to put ideas in your head, so just imagine what would be a place that you would feel safe and secure and at home. Now, whether you're in the resource within your body, the resource of a memory, or the resource that you've made, what we now do with that is the same, essentially. So what you need to do is feel into it. Just feel the sense that you get in your body when you imagine that place, or remember that memory, or feel into the part of your body that is comfortable. Just allow yourself to think, oh, that feels great. You might find that there's a certain part of your body that you feel it in. Very often that might be the chest or the belly. You might even want to put a hand on your chest or your belly just to allow that feeling to really be there. And just, as I say, just feel into it. Just allow yourself to feel that calmness, that softness, that coziness, that safety. And it may take time, and this is why it's a practice. It's something that we need to practice. But when you get that feeling within you, that feeling of like, oh, I'm home, I'm okay, or even if it's just a touch of that, actually that feels like somewhere I might be able to be safe. What we're going to do is we're going to anchor that in. And the way we can do that is you can do it with a hand on the chest or a hand on the belly, but also you can do it by holding your wrist. And this it gives the body a cue that when we hold our wrist, we feel that sensation of feeling at home, of feeling grounded, of feeling safe. And you can hold it there and allow yourself to embellish that feeling, allow it to pass through your body to get bigger, to feel safer. And when you feel that you've anchored that in, you can then let go of the wrist. And that will, once you've practiced and you've really built your resource and practiced it and anchored it in, when you then get into a stressful situation, you can then hold your wrist, and that will start to bring you back to that resource immediately. It will cue your brain into going, oh, it's okay, when we hold our wrist, we feel safe. And so you can then use it as a cue to go back to that place of safety. And when we go back into a place where we feel more safe, then essentially our nervous system starts to calm down. We can have more rational, considered thinking. We feel less agitated, and we feel much calmer. And that's a really good place to start. And from there, we can then gently challenge perhaps our emotions and our feelings, but we need to have that resource first. So as I say, whether you resource into a part of your body, a memory, or a place that you construct, then when you're there, you feel it. Really allow it to perfuse through your body as much as it can, even if that's just a little bit to start with. And then anchor it in when you feel that sense of safety. And this will then be a resource that you can always go back to in a challenging situation. If you need any help with this, then do feel free to contact us and we can help you to find your resource.